do you think you're being active? But you're actually just reacting. That's the impulse trap. And it's one of the most seductive and destructive forces in trading. It doesn't show up like fear. It doesn't feel like greed. It feels like momentum, like you're in the zone, like you're finally doing something. But that feeling, that burst of action without thought, that's not flow. That's emotional hijacking. Here's the scary part. Impulse doesn't feel wrong in the moment. It feels right, fast, confident, even smart. You see the market moving and your brain screams, don't miss it, so you jump in. No plan, no sizing logic, no stop. You're chasing the market like a gambler chases the next roll of the dice. And maybe, just maybe, it works. You catch a quick win, the dopamine hits. You feel like a genius. But that single win lights a fire you can't control. Now you're trading more, faster, loser, wider stops, worse entries. And when the losses hit tanned, you're left wondering what just happened. That's the trap. It starts with one quick trade, and it ends with you completely off your plan, out of rhythm, and questioning your strategy, your psychology, and even your ability to do this at all. Because impulse doesn't just cost you money, it steals your consistency. And without consistency, there is no confidence, only chaos. Most traders don't even know they're trading impulsively. They call it reading price action. They say they're being adaptive, but really they're just reacting emotionally to noise. And when you make decisions based on emotion instead of process, you become a victim of randomness, which means even your wins reinforce the wrong behavior. Let me be blunt. Every impulsive trade you take is a vote for being an amateur. Every time you break your rules because it looked good, you teach your brain that discipline is optional. And once discipline becomes optional, the account doesn't last long. But here's the good news. If impulse trading is a pattern, that means it has a root. And to kill it, you have to go deeper into the source. Not the market, not your chart, you. So let's go there. Let's look at where impulses are born, not on the screen, but inside your mind. Most traders blame the market for their impulsive decisions. They say things like, the chart tricked me. That move came out of nowhere. I had to jump in. I didn't want to miss it. But here's the brutal truth. The market didn't cause your impulsive trade. It simply revealed the impulse that was already there. Because impulses don't start on the chart. They start inside you. Deep in your brain lies a region called the limbic system. It's old, primitive, survival-driven. It's what kept your ancestors alive when they heard a rustle in the bushes: fight, flight, or freeze. And in the modern world of trading, that same limbic system is still firing. Only now, it reacts to green candles instead of tigers. You see a fast move and instantly feel the urge to jump in. That's not strategy. That's biology. You hesitate on a setup, then overcompensate by chasing the next one. That's not bad discipline, it's emotional over. You lose a trade, and your brain screams, make it back. Not because it's logical, but because your emotional wiring can't tolerate uncertainty, loss, or boredom. Here's the kicker. You think you're making decisions, but in reality, your decisions are being hijacked by an ancient operating system. The limbic system doesn't care about your P&L. It doesn't care about your strategy. Its only job is to protect you, even if it destroys your account in the process. That's why you close trades early. That's why you skip valid entries. That's why you size up after a win and tilt after a loss. It's not poor planning. It's emotional override. Now let me paint a picture. Imagine two traders staring at the same setup. One pauses, breathes, reviews the rules. They act from preparation, not from feeling. The other, their pulse rises. Their eyes fixate. They're thinking about what they might miss, not what they've planned. They act without awareness and call it intuition. Same chart, same opportunity, totally different mental source. That's why impulsive trading isn't about education. It's about emotional regulation. And here's the most dangerous part. The more often you give in to impulses, the stronger those neural pathways become. Like a shortcut in your brain, you feel something and act. Feel something and act. No pause, no analysis, no awareness. It becomes a habit loop, and before you know it, you're no longer trading, you're reacting. But here's the good news. If impulses are trained, they can also be retrained. The moment you insert awareness between stimulus and response, the moment you feel the emotion and choose not to act on it, that's the start of rewiring the system. Professional traders don't eliminate impulses. They learn to observe them without obeying them. They know the market will always offer temptation, but temptation only has power when you act without awareness. So from this moment on, make it your mission to become the observer. Watch your thoughts, watch your urges, watch your inner dialogue when you're in a trade. And remember, the market isn't testing your setup, it's testing your self-control. You are the variable. You are the edge or the weakness. So the next time your finger itches to click buy or sell, don't look at the chart. Look inward, because that's where the impulse was born, and that's where it must be defeated. Walk into any casino in Las Vegas, and you'll see two kinds of players. The first is the gambler, eyes darting from table to table, chasing wins, hiding losses, feeding emotion with every hand, every spin, every bet. The second isn't a player at all. It's the casino itself. Cold, calculating, unbothered, completely immune to emotion. Because while the gambler plays for dopamine, the casino plays for data. While the gambler needs to win now, the casino is perfectly happy losing. In the short term, because over the long game, the edge always pays out. Now pause for a second and ask yourself, which one are you? Because the difference between the two isn't knowledge, it's mindset. Gambler traders want instant gratification. They can't stand waiting. They need the rush. They crave that sense of being in a trade, even if it's a terrible one. That's why they overtrade. That's why they take setups that aren't in their plan. That's why they scale up too fast after a win and spiral into revenge trading after a loss. It's not because they're stupid. It's because they're hooked. Hooked on the exact same dopamine loop that fuels every slot machine and roulette table on the strip, you see. The human brain loves uncertainty, especially when it's tied to reward. This is called intermittent reinforcement, and it's the most addictive psychological loop ever discovered. You don't win every time. You win just enough to stay addicted. And the market, it's the most seductive slot machine on earth. Always spinning. Always offering the illusion of one more try. Always whispering, get it back. Double down. You've got this. That's how gamblers think. Now let's talk about the casino mindset. The casino doesn't chase wins. It doesn't need to be right every time. It doesn't celebrate on a hot streak or panic on a bad night. Why? Because it has an agent. It sticks to it. Game after game, year after year. The casino thrives because it limits emotion and scales discipline. Every rule is followed with precision. Every bet size is controlled. Every loss is expected. And that's how professional traders think. They don't care about this trade. They care about the next 1,000. They don't get a dopamine hit from being in action. They get it from executing perfectly, regardless of outcome. That's the shift from dopamine chaser to process executor. So here's the question you have to ask yourself every time your hand reaches for the mouse. Is this a trade from my plan? Or is this a bet to feel something? Because if you're chasing the feeling, you're not trading anymore. You're gambling, and the longer you trade like a gambler, the more you become the casino's favorite customer. Not the house, not the professional, but the one feeding the edge, not playing with it. Now here's the kicker. Most gamblers don't crash all at once. It happens gradually, trade by trade, impulse by impulse, until they wake up in a hole they don't know how they dug. And to show you what that spiral actually looks like, let's walk through the story of two traders, the same strategy, same market, same opportunity, but one survives and one implodes fast. Let's meet Trader B. It starts like any other Monday. Trader A and Trader B both sitting at their desks, the same platform, the same strategy, same market, both spot the same clean setup. Momentum is lining up, price is in the zone. It's the kind of trade they've practiced 100 times in back. Trader A checks the plan. Risk, defined. Entry, clean. Target, logical. Click, he's in. Emotionless, focused. Trader B, he hesitates, heart's racing. It looks good. But what if it fails? What if it's a fake out? He watches, then suddenly price moves fast. It's taking off. FOMO hits like a tidal wave. He panics, clicks in late. Poor entry, no stop. Now he's sweating, watching every tick. The market pulls back. Hard, panic, click, he's out. Loss booked. A normal trader would pause here, recenter, reset. But Trader B is different. He's not just feeling regret. He's feeling shame. And his brain's still drunk on cortisol, and adrenaline is screaming one thing. Get it back. And so begins the spiral. He takes a second trade. No real setup, just looks like it might go. Loss again. Third, trade bigger size. Win. Small profit, but not enough to cover the earlier hits. Fourth trade, same candle. He exits green, and it reverses hard. Now he's not thinking at all. He's chasing, grasping, begging the market to give him what he lost. By Friday, he's exhausted. Down for hour. Confidence shattered. Journal untouched. Plan forgotten. The only thing left, regret, and a shattered belief in his own ability to stay composed. Meanwhile, Trader, he took 3 trades this week. 2 losses, 1 clean winner. Net plus 1 hour, he's calm, focused. Reviews his log, refines his notes, closes the laptop for the weekend with peace of mind. Same market, same week, radically different outcomes. Why? Because discipline compounds, but so does impulsiveness. And when you're trading from emotion, you're not just making one bad decision. You're setting off a chain reaction. 1 tilt moment becomes 2, then 5. Then an entire week you barely remember except for the sinking feeling in your chest when you check your P&L. That's the collapse of Trader B, and it doesn't happen because he's dumb. It happens because he never built the psychological scaffolding to hold his system together when stress showed up. There was no pause, no process, just reactivity. And reactivity has a price. The hard truth. Most traders won't lose because their strategy is bad. They'll lose because they crumble in the moments between trades. The emotional debris piles up trade after trade until it buries their account in bad decisions. You think it's just one revenge trade, just one skip in your rules, just one FOMO click. But it's never just one. It's a domino. And once it falls, the rest come crashing down. So here's a lesson. Your real risk isn't the market. It's you untethered from discipline. Now the question becomes, how do you anchor yourself so deeply in process that no impulse, no loss, and no emotion can shake you? That answer is what we tackle next as we build the mental framework that keeps professionals grounded, while gamblers lose it all. Singapore Barings Bank, one of the oldest and most respected financial institutions in the world, was thriving. It had survived wars, recessions, and over 2 centuries of economic turmoil. But what it couldn't survive was one man's impulse. His name was Nick Leeson, a young, ambitious trader, brilliant, charismatic, confident, the kind of guy who could make risks sound like opportunity. He started as a back-office clerk, but his talent for numbers and his charm pushed him up fast, too fast. Within a few years, he was running both the trading floor and the operations department for Barings' Singapore office, a dangerous combination. It meant he could make trades and cover them up. At first, he made money. A lot of it. He was seen as a rising star, the kind of trader every bank dreams of having. His profits looked flawless. His confidence is contagious. London adored him. But beneath the surface, cracks were forming. One bad trade turned into 2. 2 turned into 10. And instead of cutting losses, he did what impulsive traders always do. He doubled down. He opened an error account. Secret, hidden, account number 88,888. A place to bury the trades that went wrong. He told himself it was temporary, he'd fix it later. He'd win it back. But he didn't. He couldn't. Every loss made him more desperate. Every desperate trade dug the hole deeper. It wasn't about money anymore. It was about ego, control, fear of being exposed. The same emotions that drive every impulsive trader, just with more zeros attached. By 1995, the temporary cover-up had grown into $1.4 billion in hidden losses. And then, the market moved against him for the final time. He tried to fight it. Tried to fix it with bigger trades, more leverage, and more risk. But the market doesn't negotiate with impulse. It punishes it completely. Within weeks, Barings Bank collapsed. A 233-year-old institution destroyed by one man who couldn't stop pressing buttons. Nick Leeson went to prison. His career was gone. His reputation, gone. His freedom, gone. And all because of one thing: he couldn't stop. Now, most traders hearing this story think, that would never be me. But let me ask you something. Have you ever taken a trade you knew you shouldn't? Added size to get it back. Ignored your stop loss, just this once. That's the same psychology. Different scale, same disease. Leeson didn't blow up Barings because he lacked intelligence. He blew it up because he lacked discipline. Because impulse told him he could fix it later. Because he believed he was too smart to lose. And that belief destroyed everything. That's the real cost of one unchecked impulse. It's never just a trade. It's never just a moment. It's the seed of destruction that grows quietly until it takes everything you've built. So when your next losing trade tempts you to just one more, remember Barings Bank. Remember Nick Leeson sitting alone in his office, watching centuries of legacy crumble because he couldn't hit stop. The truth is, you don't need to lose billions to make the same mistake. You just need to stop respecting your limits once. Impulse doesn't care about account size. It only needs your attention. And your ego, that's the danger. And that's why real professionals build systems designed to stop them from themselves. So how do you do that? How do you train your mind to recognize that rising emotional heat before it takes control? And how do you rewire your brain to trade calmly even when the market tempts you to act without thought? It starts with training the mind itself, not to erase impulse, but to outlast it. Let's talk about how to do that by rewiring your brain for patience. You can't delete the urge. Let's get that straight. You can't erase the twitch in your finger when the price breaks out. You can't silence the voice that says, just jump in, you might miss it. And you can't flip a switch and suddenly become a monk in front of the charts. But what you can do is train your response, because that moment between the urge and the action, that's where your power lives. The space between stimulus and response, that's where pros are made. And the weapon, rewiring, training your brain to delay instead of react, to observe instead of obey. Let's talk neuroscience for a second. The impulsive, emotional decisions, those fire from the limbic system, specifically the amygdala, the brain's fear and reward center. It's fast, primitive, unfiltered, but patience. Patience comes from the prefrontal cortex logic center, the long-term thinker. And the more you use it, the stronger it becomes, just like a muscle. So how do you train it? Step 1, breathwork. It sounds simple, but it's deadly effective. When you feel the urge to act, pause. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 4. Exhale for 6. This slows your heart rate, lowers cortisol, and shifts brain activity away from the amygdala back into the rational part of your mind. You're not just calming down, you're buying time. Step 2, visualization. Before your trading session starts, close your eyes. Visualize an impulsive moment happening, a false breakout, a big red candle, a tempting signal that doesn't fit your plan. Then rehearse your response. See yourself breathing, pausing, following your checklist. Not acting, why does this work? because your brain doesn't fully distinguish between imagined rehearsal and real experience. You're literally pre-wiring the correct behavior. Fighter pilots do it, surgeons do it, snipers do it, and now you do it too. Step 3. Journaling the impulse. After every trading session, write down every moment you felt an urge to act outside your plan. Did you act on it? Did you pause? What triggered it? This does two things. It increases your It creates a feedback loop where you learn from emotion instead of being ruled by it. Over time, the brain starts to rewire. The pause becomes your default. The urge gets weaker, and the space between trigger and response, it gets wider. This isn't about perfection. It's about progressive control. Think of it like building delay muscle. Just like going to the gym, you won't bench 300 pounds on day 1, but every rep adds strength, and every pause adds power. Professional traders aren't born patient. They've trained their nervous system to resist short-term gratification. They don't jump at every move. They watch. They wait. They know their edge isn't inactivity, it's in selectivity. And that discipline, that's not natural. That's engineered. So next time your finger hovers over the mouse, take a breath, take a beat. Because in that pause, you're not just resisting the trade, you're reprogramming the trader. You're becoming something rare, something dangerous, someone who acts with intention instead of impulse. And that changes everything. There's one rule that single-handedly stopped me from blowing up my account. Just one. It's not a strategy. It's not a setup. It's not an indicator. It's this. Wait 3 full seconds before every trading action. Sounds stupid simple, right? But those 3 seconds, they saved me. See, early in my trading journey, I had a habit, maybe you have it too. I would act instantly. To see a breakout, click red candle forming, exit, trade goes green, size up, no space, no pause, just impulse dressed up as quick decision. And it worked, until it didn't. One day I had a solid plan in place. The market was choppy, but I had clear levels. Then out of nowhere a huge red candle printed, just shy of my stop. My brain screamed, get out, protect the account, and without hesitation, I exited manually. 2 seconds later, the market reversed, hardened, ran straight through my original take profit zone. I stared at the screen in silence. I didn't lose that trade because of the strategy. I lost because I let emotion override execution. That night, I made a vow. From now on, I wait 3 seconds before doing anything. No matter what. Enter, wait, exit, wait, adjust size, wait, and in those 3 seconds, everything changes. Because here's what neuroscience tells us. The emotional brain, the amygdala, reacts in milliseconds. The logical brain, the prefrontal cortex, takes longer to kick in. That's your first instinct. Usually the worst one. The one driven by fear, greed, or panic. But if you can pause, even for just 3 seconds, you give the logical mind a chance to take the wheel. You allow the checklist to load. You let the emotional surge fade. You trade with intention, not reaction. Let me show you how it works in real trades. Another time, I was up slightly. Price started pulling back hard and I felt the urge to close manually. But this time, I paused. 1, 2, 3. I reviewed my plan. Stop loss was still intact. The trade hadn't violated anything. I held, and guess what? Minutes later, the price reversed in height, target for a clean win. 3 seconds. That was the difference between another emotional scratch and following the plan to profit. This isn't just a hack. It's a buffer against self-destruction. Because the most dangerous moment in trading is the moment between feeling and acting. If you can delay action even briefly, you break the loop. You interrupt the emotional hijack. And over time, you train your nervous system to stop reacting and start executing. So here's your challenge. Starting today, no more instant clicks, no more emotional triggers. Every time you're about to act, say it in your head. 1, 2, 3. Then move if it still makes sense. Because in trading, milliseconds can cost you money. But 3 seconds, they can save your entire career. Here's a brutal truth. Most traders never face. Your trading plan isn't written for your best days. It needs to be built for your worst. Anyone can follow rules when they're calm, confident, and focused. But what about after your 3rd loss in a row? What about when FOMO kicks in? What about when you're up big and greed whispers? Double down. That's when most plans collapse, because they weren't built for real-world emotion. So here's how to fix that. Let's impulse-proof your plan. 1. Set a max number of trades per day. Sounds simple, but without it, you're just gambling with structure. When you limit yourself, let's say 3 trades a day, max, you're forced to be selective. You stop chasing. You stop trying to make it back. It's not about restriction. It's about conservation of emotional capital. 2. Create walkaway triggers. This one saved me more than once. Here's mine. If I take 2 back-to-back losses, I walk away. No matter what the market is doing. No matter how good the next setup looks. Why? Because I know myself. Losses, cloud, judgment. And if I don't break the loop manually, the spiral begins. Your walkaway trigger might be 3 losses or 1 big emotional decision. But have one, and stick to it. 3. Build structured breaks into the session. Most traders sit at the screen for hours, glued to every candle. It's a trap. The more you stare, the more likely you are to manufacture trades. The solution: pre-scheduled breaks. Every 90 minutes, stand up, walk, breathe, reset. You're not a robot, and you don't need to be online every second to catch a quality trade. For post-trade cooldown rituals, every trader needs one. Not just journaling, but cooling down your nervous system. After every trade, win or loss, take a 5-minute pause. Review it, log it, check in with your mental state, because most bad trades don't come from strategy breakdowns. That come from emotional carryover. Rushing into the next setup without processing the last one is like driving 100 miles per hour with your windshield covered in mud. And finally, 5. Write your rules as if you were training someone else. Why? Because when you write for yourself, you leave room for excuses. But if someone else had to follow this plan, you'd make it tighter, simpler, harder to break. Write it like a blueprint for a disciplined robot. Then train yourself to follow it. Because in the end, structure defeats chaos. Systems beat feelings, and if your plan can't survive your weakest moment, it won't survive the market. Impulse-proof your plan, and you impulse-proof your future. Let's end where it all begins, with identity, not setups, not tools, not indicators, but the question that cuts deeper than any red candle ever could. Who are you becoming in the moments between the trades? Because in those moments when fear whispers, when greed tugs, when impulse rises, you either react or you operate. And that's the line, right there. That's the divide between amateurs and professionals. Reactors hit buttons. Operators follow process. Reactors flinch when the market jolts. Operators breathe, assess, and execute. Reactors treat trading like a bet. Operators treat it like a mission. Let's take it even further. Think of a pilot flying a commercial aircraft. Altitude drops. A storm rolls in. Engines rattle. Passengers scream. What does the pilot do? He doesn't guess. He doesn't panic. He doesn't go with his gut. He follows the checklist. He follows protocol. He executes, not because he's fearless, but because he's trained. He's not gambling with lives. He's operating a system. And every decision, even under pressure, comes from discipline, not emotion. Now compare that to the average retail trader. Sits at a desk. The market twitches. They jump. No checklist, no plan, just raw emotional reaction. They think they're trading, but really, they're just gambling in a slightly more expensive casino. And here's the truth that hurts. Until you see yourself as an operator, you will forever remain a reactor. Reactors don't survive long. They might win here and there, but every win feeds the same addiction that eventually takes them out. But operators, they build careers because they know the real edge isn't the setup. It's the state of mind you bring to it. So let me ask you directly, do you want to be a trader who feels the need to trade, or the one who trades when it's time? Do you want to be someone who reacts to the market, or someone who executes inside a framework? This final chapter isn't about tactics. It's about transformation. It's about waking up tomorrow and saying, I don't trade to get lucky. I trade to operate. I'm building a system in the market and in myself, because until you rewire who you are as a trader, nothing changes. The setups won't save you. The indicators won't protect you. Only identity creates consistency. So here's your final challenge. Leave behind the mindset of the gambler, the emotional chaser, the untrained hand on the wheel, and step into the role of the operator, the one who tracks, the one who waits, the one who works a plan with the mindset of a pilot and the discipline of a surgeon. Reactors chase results. Operators respect process. One survives, the other doesn't. You choose. This closes your arc with maximum impact, from psychology to practicality to deep identity transformation.